What up, guys? Your boy Quake back with a brand new episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast, number 391. And we got a jam-packed episode, and it's all thanks to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. I mean, the guy is just on a rampage, and people are just going back and forth with him, and he's revealing footage of Jim Jones being evicted, and now there's more T.I. and 50 back and forth with the Verzuz. So I'm going to go all over all that. There's some stuff happening with Keefe D's murder trial as well. Some Eminem trademark lawsuits again, and some updates with Diddy. And then there's a big indictment situation that I want to talk about as well, which is kind of crazy. That involves Nipsey Hussle. So let's get into it. I was planning on reviewing Baby Keem's album on this episode, but I still want to sit with it a little bit longer. I was never really checking for Baby Keem in my life when he first came out with music. I believe, I don't know when, 2018, 2017, somewhere around there. I really wasn't a fan. I wasn't checking for his music. When he dropped Family Ties, that's when I kind of got into him a little bit. So I did check out this album when it got released. So I will be giving a review about it, on the next episode that I drop, because there's just too much stuff on this episode. I don't want to jam pack it with 2 hours of podcast content. So let's go into the news. I'm going to start it out with the judge rejecting Keefe D's motion to toss evidence in the Tupac murder case. Let's go over the article. Back in December, Dwayne Keefe D filed a motion to exclude certain pieces of evidence from his upcoming trial. He's accused of orchestrating the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur. The motion cites items seized from Keefe D's Nevada home during a nighttime raid in July of 2023, just months before his arrest. His attorneys allege that the search was unlawful and that investigators painted a misleading portrait of their client in the search warrant application presented to a magistrate judge. When officers obtained nighttime authorization through bad faith, courts agreed suppression is appropriate, the motion stated. Bad faith is evident from the face of the affidavit supporting the search warrant. First, the court unwittingly relied on misleading portrait of Davis as a dangerous drug dealer when in fact his drug convictions were 25 years old. He was a 60-year-old retired cancer survivor that had lived quietly in the same Henderson home for nearly a decade. Second, the court overlooked the case-specific urgency or safety concerns Nevada law requires to justify nighttime searches. The motion continued. It accepted instead generic safety theories that would apply to virtually any search of any home. At the hearing earlier this week, however, Rolling Stone reports that the judge denied the motion. Keefe D is currently being held without bail at the Clark County Detention Center. He pleaded not guilty to murder in 2023. His trial is expected to begin August after being pushed back last year due to overwhelming amount of evidence his team still has to review. So I guess in August of this year, finally, we will see what's going on. And what's this overwhelming amount of evidence? I'm really curious, man. This is a big stretch and a big reach, can they somehow tie Diddy to paying Keefe D? And will Diddy face time for that? That's the crazy thing. They got to find some solid evidence to prove that that's true, which is hard. You got to find transactions. You got to find, a lot of the people that were involved are dead now. So that's really what my interest is in. I just want to see, because we know Keefe D had a role in Tupac's murder. He was in the car, clear as day. That's no surprise. So him getting convicted is not going to be surprising. It's going to be surprising if they somehow find some Diddy-related stuff to it. That would shock the world. That would be like, okay, because there's been rumors, there's been people saying it, but there hasn't been any solid evidence of it, So that's where my kind of conversation, goes towards is what is going to happen with that? Is there going to be new evidence that comes out? We'll see, but that's the update with it so far. Updates on Diddy and the massive amounts of lawsuits that he has, and this one is pretty interesting because the defense and the response is weird. So let's go over this. Diddy's defense team argued that his conviction for violating the Mann Act mischaracterizes his supposed actual behavior. Diddy escaped some of the more heavy charges against him during federal trial last year, but the court still convicted him on 2 counts of violating the Mann Act and transporting individuals across state lines for prostitution purposes. Now, federal prosecutors are hoping to quell his appeal attempt by arguing against the defense team's strategy regarding this conviction. According to All Hip Hop, prosecutors' new appellate brief this week fought back against defense attorneys' report claims that Sean Combs was more of an amateur adult film producer than he was significant player in a prostitution scheme. Prosecutors blasted this strategy, arguing that testimony showed how he directly connected threats to travel circumstances and sex work. They brought up Combs' alleged threats to Cassie during a France-New York flight. These include intimate video leaks and demands to participate in freak-off parties upon landing. Prosecutors also pointed out to the anonymous woman identified as Jane, whom he allegedly threatened with homelessness after she expressed a desire to stop participating in hotel nights. The bad boy mogul allegedly arranged transport for an escort from Las Vegas to Los Angeles after those threats. In both cases, Diddy's threats occurred during or immediately preceding the act of transportation and helped establish his intent that victim would engage in prostitution. Prosecutors reportedly argued in their filing. In addition, they dismantled the defense's film producer argument by arguing that he didn't notify of film in advance and did not gain consent for recording. One escort reportedly testified that Puff would make folks feel humiliated and degraded by keeping recordings of sexual encounters, recordings which he only set up once or twice without permission. Prosecutors also pointed to his alleged participation in these parties via masturbation, pointing to the intent of immediate sexual gratification rather than commercial gain. On the other hand, Diddy's defense team appeals arguments rest on the accusation that Judge, whatever the judge's name is, long-ass name, acted like a 13th juror by sentencing him to 50 months behind bars based on behavior tied to charges that the jury acquitted him of. The United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit will have oral arguments from both sides of this appeal on April 9th in Manhattan. As far as what could happen, the appellate judge could uphold the sentence and conviction, reverse it, or remand to lower courts. This is also an expedited appeal process due to the length of the sentence, so this could pass by very quickly. Basically, one side saying this guy's, he just did this stuff because he's an adult film, their defense is like he's an adult film producer. Like, what? He's never made any adult films in his life. What are they talking about? That's such a dumb defense. They're not going to have a great defense. They're basically throwing anything they can at the wall to try to get Diddy to come home early, and it's like if this works, the judge got paid off. There's no way this works. Like, you can't just be like, oh, yeah, I just, had all these prostitutes, and I brought them with me because I'm a film producer of adult content. Like, yeah, he recorded the stuff, but if you're a film adult content producer, you would put that stuff out there for people to watch, like any other porn company that's out there that does it. So it's like, yeah, it's just a dumb defense. But continuing on, this is interesting, is Diddy and Christian Combs have settled the lawsuit for allegedly owing $53,000 in legal fees. Diddy and Christian Combs have agreed to a settlement with the law firm Summa LLP, which alleged that they have yet to pay over 100 hours of work from their attorneys and another 90 hours of work from paralegals. According to court documents obtained by TMZ, they allegedly owed at least $53,688.35 in legal fees. Further details on the settlement are unclear. Much of the work came in defense of Christian for the sexual assault case he faced from Grace. She alleged that Diddy's son tried to force her to perform oral sex on him while she was working as a steward on the yacht he chartered in 2022. She also claimed that Diddy fostered a lawless atmosphere on the ship. Diddy denied the allegations and called for dismissal of her case. In a letter last year, it incorrectly alleges that I chartered the yacht where the alleged assault occurred. I am neither the signatory nor the party to her charter agreement, he wrote at the time. So, yeah, they settled at least the legal fees in it, which, the lawyers that dealt with it got to get at least their money out of it. So, another lawsuit, another legal issue that these guys have that is out the way so far. They still got like 70 more, so we'll see what happens moving forward. Eminem is somebody who protects his brand a lot. I mean, the second anybody does anything that's relating that even remotely looks like it's ripping off Eminem's name or brand, he will, get into a legal battle with immediately. And we've reported on that millions of times on here. So let's go over this article. Eminem may not be dropping a whole lot of new music these days, but he's still keeping a watchful eye on over his brands, on how they appear in pop culture. However, it seems like his constant pursuit of potential trademark infringements will not continue as it relates to Sydney Anderson and her The Real Squid Shady trademark attempt. Complex originally reported that Slim Shady himself filed a trademark opposition with the United States Patent and Trademark Office to block Anderson's trademark application for the name The Real Squid Shady. Anderson, an aspiring artist, used the name on several social media accounts, and she reportedly sought to use the name for music-related endeavors like recording and publishing. His legal team reportedly argued that this trademark would create a confusing association with his federally trademarked Shady and Slim Shady brands. They reportedly argued that such a trademark could dilute the Shady brand. However, the publication then reported that Sydney Anderson resigned her The Real Squid Shady trademark application. She reportedly told the outlet that she didn't get any notification of the Detroit rapper's opposition from his lawyers or even him himself. And I'm not even pursuing it anymore, Anderson reportedly stated. So that's one less Slim Shady trademark application left standing, and we'll not have to see how this plays out in the legal realm. Yeah, still Eminem has other trademark battles to fight. He sued the Australian beach brand Swim Shady over their name based on similar reasons. Eminem intellectual copyright battles aren't just about trademarks, though. He and his legal team sought legal action over Meta's allegedly unauthorized use of copyright material. Yeah, that's annoying because the Meta thing is like whenever I try to post on Instagram and I'll post like an Eminem record that he breaks or something, or an anniversary, like right now the Slim Shady 27 years ago anniversary, it got released 27 years ago, you can't use any of the Eminem music. There's like barely any Eminem music you can use on there because of this Meta Eminem lawsuit that's going on. So that's the unfortunate part on our side. But other than that, I can kind of understand where Eminem's coming from. You know, it does kind of create confusion, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I would take it that serious, but I get it. I get where he's coming from. The Real Squid Shady and what's the other one called? Swim Shady. It is kind of like playing off of his stuff. So, hey, it is what it is, man. Just know that Eminem will not play about his brand. He will find you and he will go in a legal battle with you if he has to. So that's the update on that. Big U, for those that don't know, he's done a lot of things in the streets when it comes to basically Los Angeles related. He's been tied to a lot of different gangs, mainly, I believe, the Rolling 60s. I could be 100% wrong on that, but he's been in the community when it comes to Los Angeles, when it comes to Crenshaw, when it comes to just a lot of those type of areas where Nipsey is from as well. And there have been like conspiracy theories and reports and this and that Big U had something to do with Nipsey's murder. So now there's some ties starting to happen. So let's go over this article. Eugene Big U Henley is facing a lot of legal hurdles in his federal RICO case, including attempts to secure the names of cooperating witnesses and accusations against prison officials. However, the prosecutors in his case continue to develop it with new allegations and claims around his alleged criminal activity. According to an exclusive All Hip Hop report, Henley was recently hit with a new superseding indictment that references alleged tensions with Nipsey Hussle. To be clear, the charges against him do not accuse him of playing any role in Nipsey's 2019 murder. However, federal prosecutors did claim that they intercepted phone calls years after the incident in which Henley allegedly called himself the hunter of the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips and alluded to gang intimidation. Yeah, so phone calls are always tapped. Yeah. On December 31st, 2022, on an intercepted call, Big U said that he was bigger than deceased rapper Nipsey Hussle, that he disciplined Nipsey Hussle, and that he was bigger than any other Rolling 60. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanchett reportedly alleged. On January 1st, 2023, on an intercepted call, Big U said that he was not beefing with Nipsey Hussle because if anyone beefs with Big U, I'm going to kill him, period. I am going to murder him. That is crazy. That is fucking insane. In addition, other allegations against Big U include the accusation that he warned alleged Rolling 60s member OG Crip Cuz that he could have had him killed instead of beaten. Also, the indictment claims that Eugene Henley allegedly reflected on an altercation involving Nipsey Hussle and other individuals by suggesting he would have had a problem with any man if things hadn't had smoothed out. He allegedly said that the issue would have been resolved and he wouldn't be here or I wouldn't be here. Yeah, it sounds like somebody just goes the violent route no matter what. Other allegations include threats to local businesses, boasting about hanging out in rival gang territory where he could have killed motherfuckers every day, and bragging about possessing firearms. They also include accusations of contraband smuggling, such as prison phone sales. This all connects to federal prosecutors' accusations that Big U allegedly maintained violent and intimidating gang control in Los Angeles, claims which he denied. Big U's also denied Nipsey Hussle allegations, sending a cease and desist to No Jumper for linking him to the crime. Yeah, I'd heard about all this stuff. I'd heard people talk about it. I really don't know what to make of it, man. We need, I guess, when he actually goes to trial, which is going to be probably years from now, we're going to need solid evidence that Big U had something to do with Nipsey, with the ties, the things that, because, there's been photos of him and Nipsey hanging out perfectly fine. Actually, this photo that shows here is December 10th, 2018. This is like 4 months before Nipsey Hussle died, because he died in March 31st of 2019. So I don't know. I'm not going to throw things out there and say this or that. I just had immense respect for Nipsey Hussle. The new album that's coming out, I'm kind of upset about that it's a collab album with Bino. But, hey, man, I think there's a guy that's from Los Angeles that responded to me when I, tweeted about that and was like, I'm upset that it's a collab album. We haven't got a solo album from Nipsey at all since all these years. But he was like, Bino is respected in L.A., so maybe they didn't have enough Nipsey music that they could put together. But even if they didn't, right, you could just make a solo album and just do it like Pop Smoke, have features on there. Like Nipsey's worked with a lot of different artists. So it would have been cool to have features on there from other artists, So, yeah, I just want a Nipsey solo album, man. I don't want a collab album. I don't want just a single. I want a full album, 12, 16 tracks. That would have been really cool, man. I really, really, that should have happened by now. But, hey, they're going the collab album route. I don't know why. I don't think it's going to do that well, versus a solo album. But it is what it is, man. The first song sounds pretty good, not bad. So I'll still check it out regardless. But, yeah, if Nipsey's team is watching this or listening to this, please, let's get that solo album out. That would be amazing. 50 Cent is back to trolling Jim Jones and has released some very recent footage as of about a day ago of Jim Jones trying to kick in the door of his alleged podcast studio, maybe his apartment. I don't know. There's no clear clarification on what he is trying to kick down, but he is clearly evicted because 50 decided to post also the eviction notice. So let's go over this. For those that are unaware as to why 50 Cent is beefing with Jim Jones, it's very simple. On Jim Jones's podcast, Let's Rap About It with Mano, Fabulous, and Dave East, they decided to criticize 50 Cent's Netflix documentary on Diddy. They called it a mockumentary. They didn't directly say 50 Cent's name in the clip, but it's clear as day as to who they're talking about or what documentary they're talking about. 50 caught wind of that, didn't like it, called them out, and then revealed that they had been late on paying their rent, and they had been late on, I believe, paying light bills and all this other stuff that comes with owning or trying to rent out a building. He revealed that they owed hundreds of thousands of dollars they were behind on, and even got the owner on the phone and leaked audio of the conversation of him with the owner about him not getting his payment that he was owed from Jim Jones and everybody else. From there, just recently, on the Let's Rap About It podcast, they talked about the Tony Yayo and Ja Rule incident on the airplane. They didn't directly mention names, but they talk about it briefly, and it's clear as day that they're mentioning, obviously, the Tony Yayo and Ja Rule incident because they mentioned pillow throwing. So they are continuing their trolling or their, talk on their podcast, despite 50 doing what he's doing.
Who do you call if you on a plane?
Depends on.
And you run into niggas and it turns into a pillow fight. Who do you call in?
That's a good question.
Who do you call if you run into some of your opposition?
Your ops?
On a plane. How do you handle it?
And I guess 50 caught wind of that as well, potentially, and was like, okay, you guys want to keep running your mouths. And obviously the diss track added, more fuel to the fire, with Fabulous going in and Jim Jones dissing, and Mano and Davies kind of dissed, but they didn't really go really in like that. Davies didn't diss at all, I don't think. But Mano, had a little slick words. And then 50 and Mano actually went back and forth for a little bit as well. But it's been mainly Jim Jones, as well as Fabulous, with people saying, hey, there should be bars that go back at Fabulous and 50 should be rapping. And then 50 in a Rolling Stone interview said that he recorded a mixtape, potentially going at them, but just didn't release it. So there's just been a lot of back and forth, right? But today, actually last night, 50 dropped video footage of Jim Jones trying to kick the door in to his building, whatever building it is, whether it's his apartment, his podcast studio, I don't know. But check it out. There is audio on this where one of the guys actually says the lights are off, the lights aren't turned on or whatever. So maybe there's a power bill that they didn't pay as well. But check it out.
What was you talking about? He cut the lights off. You're not supposed to. You heard Jim? Huh? He cut the lights off. Turn back on. What's up? What happened? Yeah, I'm good. No, it's mine. It's my property. All right? You got a problem talking about it.
See, as you can hear in the beginning of the video, one of Jim Jones' friends says, he cut the lights off. You heard Jim? He cut the lights off. And then he says something like, turn it back on. And then he's trying to kick the door in. And I believe some neighbors or somebody that's, around him is asking what's going on. And he's just like, hey, I'm kicking in my own spot. Like, don't worry about it, basically. The first door he struggles to. It just doesn't work at all. The second door he does get in. But I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy how 50 even got this footage. But then again, it's not, because people need to think that, you guys got to remember 50 is at a level where if he goes at somebody or disrespects somebody on his Instagram or makes it publicly known, there are going to be a lot of people that want to give 50 information, either to get on his good side or to do business with him, so on and so forth. So when people are saying like, oh, 50's the feds, like, how did he get this? Like, it's not that hard for somebody of that level to get that type of information. Think of it like TMZ. Like, immediately when that Tony Ayo and Ja Rule airplane incident happened, there was TMZ reached out to probably all the people that were flying there and were like, hey, do you have any footage? Did you record any footage? And they ended up finding footage of a passenger recording, the altercation with Ja Rule and Yayo and Murda. So it's not that hard. If you have the access, and you got, the status, which TMZ does, which 50 does, which Jay-Z, whoever at that level does, it's not hard to get this type of stuff. There are people that are willing to give it to you for money or to do business with you in some way, shape, or form. So 50 got this, I'm pretty sure, from the actual owner of the building because, they had conversations before. So I wouldn't be surprised if he put that out there just to embarrass Jim Jones even more because the owner of the building wants his money. So on the second slide of this Instagram post, 50 posted the actual notice that was on the door. Before I go over that, though, let's go over the caption of what 50 said. He said, damn, bro, this wouldn't happen if we was friends. Want to be friends? I don't know. Let's rap about it. LOL. And then he said delicious, which is, I don't know. That's some crazy shit from 50. But let's go over the actual notice that was on the door. So it's IFC management to Joseph Jones, which Joseph Jones is Jim Jones. It goes to where where it's posted at, Bronx, New York, and then talks about the lease agreement dated December 17th, 2025, which would be actually about around the week that Jim Jones and all of them decided to criticize 50 Cent's Netflix documentary. That's around the time when this lease agreement happened. And then it goes over all these companies, and then it goes Joseph Jones, tenant, and then talks about the location of what it is. And then it says, take notice as follows. The tenant was served with a 15-day notice of default dated January 5th, 2026. So even after, because people are saying like, oh, maybe, 50's just giving them buzz and helping them for their podcast. Even after 50 airing them out and all that, they were still struggling. Their podcast jumped a little bit in views because obviously with 50 mentioning you, he is a huge superstar. It's going to jump in views. But, even when 50 posted my face on his Instagram, I started getting random DMs from companies and people just because that's how much power, a star at that level has. But regardless, it never even helped them that much because they were still having issues because, they put a notice on January 5th, 2026, which expired on January 22nd, which is a 15-day notice, and then a 5-day notice of termination, meaning that, hey, this deal with you leasing this building is going to go, terminated because you missed these dates of making sure the payments were made on time. And then he had a termination date dated on February 10th, 2026, which expired on February 17th, 2026, which is just recently, a couple of days ago. The second thing says the tenant's tenancy at the premises has been terminated. The third thing is that pursuant to the landlord's rights under lease, including paragraph 17, blah, 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 all this termination. The tenant may make agreements with landlord to coordinate retrieval of tenant's property. So basically, hey, you're getting kicked out, we can make a deal where you can get your stuff out of there. That should tenant attempt to enter the premises, change the locks, or seek to retrieve its property or cause any third party to do so without the landlord's express permission. Landlord reserves the right to prosecute the same as trespass and pursue all other available remedies. And that's where we talk about, because this is on video, and it's obviously now very publicly noted, Jim Jones responded to 50 Cent posts in that video, and he made a trolling video of him pretending to do karate because obviously he was kicking in the door and he's doing his Kung Fu skills in that video. He then posts in the caption, Kung Fu Jim is what they call him, LOL. I need you good movie to watch on this big screen. We got cable, LOL. So check out the video. I'm sure the landlord saw this. That's how probably 50 got the footage. So the landlord already is probably prosecuting and is going to charge, Jim Jones with trespassing. He's going to face legal problems, so on and so forth. 50 posting it just amplifies that even more and makes it even worse for them. So with that being said, there is going to be some legal ramifications. Is it going to, potentially have Jim Jones face prison time or jail time? Possibly. But yeah, you can't, if you're kicked out or locked out, you can't kick the tenant's, the landlord's door in. Clearly you didn't pay your bills, so you're not allowed in there anymore. But yeah, it's crazy, clear as day that Jim Jones is struggling to pay whatever bills that he has, which is crazy, man. He's been in the game for so long, had so much success at certain points in his career that you would think at this point you'd be smart enough to invest your money and, just move better. But we don't know the full story. I don't know. Who knows? It's only what's presented in front of us. And, Jim Jones has trolled with this. He's always said like, hey, this is just bringing me more promo. Keep talking about me. Doesn't matter. I don't know that he showed that big warehouse. I don't think he would be investing all that time in building these little studios in that big warehouse if, he wasn't like 100% on making sure that, hey, he had his bills paid. At least I would hope so, because that would be a dumb move to be investing all that time and money into something and not even paying your rent. So that's it with that. Let me know what you guys think of the whole situation. There's been a lot of back and forth. I briefly went over it, but, there's all kinds of stuff that happened. And, I don't think we're ever going to get music out of this because 50's kind of above that in terms of where he's at in his career. I don't think he really cares, because would you go back and forth with somebody that's struggling to pay their rent? Come on, 50's like basically a billionaire. I mean, he hasn't revealed it, but he's either close to a billionaire or a billionaire. It just doesn't make sense for a billionaire to, make music and take time out of their day to diss somebody that is struggling to pay their rent. That's the kind of levels to this that we're talking about. But let me know what you guys think. And now we know how 50 Cent got the footage of Jim Jones trying to kick the door into his podcast studio. 50 Cent decided to apply more pressure. And this was the crazy part. This was something that 50 had implied he was going to do, but now he officially confirmed it. 50 Cent posted a photo of him with a guy named Sam. And Sam is allegedly the owner of the building. And 50 implies in his Instagram post that now he is part owner of the building as well. So I don't know if he, decided to give Sam the money that Jim Jones owed Sam, which is, I believe, over $200,000, or he just said, hey, how much is the building? I'll go half with you and own half the building. And the caption said, Sam is my partner. I own the joint. Now you're going to fix every door you kick, or I'm going to kick your ass, Jimmy. By Monday, you're destroying my property. On top of this Instagram post, he also released more footage of Jim Jones kicking down doors. If this is true, this explains how he got the footage, and this is no surprise because earlier on when this was happening in late December, early January, 50 Cent also released audio of him talking to Sam and Sam talking about how Jim Jones hasn't paid, what he's owed on the building.
Want to rent it. And I said, okay, fine, right? He's been saying this for since October. And so he keeps trying to build it, but he won't sign the lease. He's like, I don't like these terms. I want 6 months of build out and ridiculous bullshit. We also have a partnership agreement where half of what he's building now, his media, belongs to us. But he won't tell us how much he's making and doing all these things. So half of the content he's creating, if you want to buy that too, I'll sell you half the company. He's not a business. He's insane. To me, it's worth very little to nothing. But if it works out for you, I just throw that in as a sweetener. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is he signed a lease with me. Right now he owes, I'm going to say in a short way, at least $80,000, if not $180,000.
What's funny is 2 months ago, Mano posted this. He said, why buy half the podcast when you can buy the entire thing and make it a full 100 cent with, what's that emoji? I don't know. It's that funny face where you're kind of confused. So Mano was just like, hey, trolling the situation, not thinking that 50 Cent was actually going to pull the trigger on this. So now it looks like 50 has followed up on potentially owning the whole thing. 50 also posted on Instagram this. He said, with all the damage to the doors you kicked, there goes your deposit. Don't be sensitive, be diligent, and move swiftly. And it's a meme video he posted saying lease terminated. And the audio is basically, hey, your rent's due, all this stuff. Jim Jones then responded to that by posting a video of him driving, and he is entering his alleged podcast studio where he's getting things done at. So Jim Jones is using it as promotion to, promote whatever he's got going on, because obviously it's the most eyes he's ever going to get on anything that he's done, because 50's name is, 100 times bigger. This overall has probably been the best promo for their podcast and for whatever Jim Jones has got going on. If Jim Jones actually can't afford to pay that building, I'm surprised that Mano, Dave East and Fabulous haven't jumped in to help, because they're all part of the same podcast. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, he could be, not paying it because he doesn't want to be in that building anymore, or he could be because, sometimes you'll sign a lease, agreement or a contract, whatever, and you want to move out, but you can't, or you have a fine you have to pay to get out. And, it looks like Jim Jones has moved out of there. He's recording a whole different building. At least that's what it looks like. So, the details of it, we have no idea. But if 50 actually owned a portion of it or half of it, then that is a savage move that, that's the way to do things. That's the boss way to do things, instead of responding on a quick record, rapping when, your rapping career has been long done for a while. Last time 50 released an album was in 2014. So I would love for him to rap as much as everybody else, but this is more of in line with what Jay-Z would do, a boss at a level that's making hundreds of millions of dollars to billions. These guys are a different tier, different level, so it makes more sense for 50 to do this type of stuff than, actually get in the booth and rap. But that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think 50 is just trolling, or does he actually own half of that building? Let me know. This T.I. and 50 Cent battle is hitting new levels of disrespect. For those that have been unaware, T.I.'s been on a promo run promoting his new album with his new single, Let 'Em Know. And while on this promo run, he's been asked quite a few times about who he'd want to do a Verzuz with. And he's mentioned Lil Wayne and 50. And when mentioning 50 Cent, obviously 50 didn't like that. He's always been against doing a Verzuz, and he's, even in 2021, refuted doing a Verzuz with T.I. But just recently, T.I. appeared on $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. And I'll try and play this clip if I can. If it's copyrighted, I won't play it. But basically, in this $1 Million Worth of Game interview, T.I. reveals that 50 Cent initially agreed to do the Verzuz with him in private. And then when T.I. came out and called 50 out for a Verzuz, 50 then backed out and didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay, so first, it was really about celebrating each other's catalog. Me and them talk back there, bro. This ain't just called it out the blue. Yeah. Me and them talk back there.
You talking about you and 50?
Yeah, man. We talk about this shit, man. It just come out of nowhere. Nigga, we were moving around in LA, man, selling some TV shows while we were around each other, man. You know what I mean? I said, what you think about that? He was like, you want to do that shit? I said, yeah. He was like, all right, cool. So and I told him, I said, well, I'm gonna jump out there first, and then you just gonna jump out there and we'll line it up. And he said, all right. And when I jump out there, nigga act like he ain't know what the f going on. Then that's what it was about. You know what I'm saying? Now, it about, oh, you playing? Oh, okay, you gonna play. All right, cool. But how about all of it? All of it. I don't even want, man, cause now I question your character. Any gonna get kick that kind of shit, then, you know, man, just say you don't want to do it. All the other extra lame, man, this goofy.
So y'all talked about it, you saying? You went out
Yeah,
there.
years ago. Years ago we spoke about
I
it.
think it'd be a great battle, though. I think,
Man, that shit ain't gonna happen. That shit ain't gonna happen, man. I don't want to stand on stage with him. I have no interest in standing on stage with that. I don't respect him.
Now, we don't know how true that story is, but that's what T.I. says happened, that he and 50 were out in Los Angeles pitching TV shows and movies, and that's when they, came up with this plan to do a Verzuz. And T.I. said, hey, I'm going to be the first one to jump out, and then you respond, and then we get this hype going, and then we do a Verzuz. But apparently T.I. says 50 backed out, and then from there, T.I. says that his antics have been very disrespectful and that he doesn't respect 50 anymore and that he would never share a stage with him ever again. Now, of course, with T.I. saying this, 50 Cent caught wind of it and has responded by disrespecting T.I.'s family, more specifically T.I.'s wife, Tiny. 50 took to Instagram and posted a not so flattering photo of T.I.'s wife, Tiny, and she looks like, in a bad angle and her body looks a little off. It's like a bad angled photo, which celebrities sometimes they do have, bad photos that they take because, they're celebrities. They have photos taken of them every second. But he posted that photo, which doesn't look flattering of her. And in the caption, he said, I keep saying, keep my name out your mouth. Okay. So 50 is just, saying, hey, man, like, stop mentioning me in these interviews. Stop mentioning me. Do a Verzuz. I'm not interested in doing a Verzuz. That's where he's at with it. Now, after posting this photo, T.I.'s son, King, did not like it one bit. So he posted on his stories making fun of 50 Cent's dead mother and basically saying, dig her up and all this stuff and worry about your mother who's dead. Don't talk about my mom. And, rightfully so. Anybody that, if somebody was disrespectful to my mom, I would jump out and say the same stuff because that's, that's my own mother. So King being that upset and being mad at him makes total sense. Check out the video. I censored it heavily because he's cussing like every second. And, with these platforms, they don't allow all that cussing, but check out the video.
Your mama dead as go dig her up. Go dig her up. Post a picture of your mama. She dead. Pay respect. Stop playing with my mama. Ain't playing like that. Ain't going like that. How y'all raised? I'm not raised like that. I don't go. I'm not going about my mama. I'm not going. So tell your dead mama dig her up and post a picture that look better than my mama. What's wrong with you? Y'all better tie y'all motherfucking shoes. Y'all don't know who the y'all with. You better put that music up and shut the fuck up. Cause all that other ain't gonna get it. On my mother. Your mama dead as dig that bitch up. About that. Not going. I don't give a fuck about how to play it. Not going. Posting my mama like your mama ain't dead as go put some flowers on that grave. Man, posting my mama a mother legend. Your mama a mother J. Stop, man. Don't never think you can get on this motherfucking level and you can compete with us. We on a whole different ball game. We got a whole different type of level of respect around here. You get on that do that. You a hoe. I would say that shit to your face. Man.
Now, after that was posted, T.I. then decided to go on his Instagram page and promote a new track. And this track somewhat sounds like he's dissing 50. There's no direct names. It might just be a cut off his upcoming album because the album's title is Kill the King. And on this track, it sounds like he's talking about defending his crown and stuff like that. So it can sound like it's a diss track towards 50, but there's nothing direct at it, and it's a preview. It's a preview of the first verse. And the caption said this: "Oh, you guys want war? All right, we on that." And then he posted a little duck emoji, and he called 50 a duck in the comments before. So it might be a little subliminal at 50. And then he hashtag saying, "Got the right one this time." And this track, like I said, he's just basically saying, "Hey, anybody want war with me, it's on." And he's saying, "I'm going to defend my king crown." I can't play the track because of copyright, obviously, but if you want to go listen to it, check out T.I.'s Instagram page. From here, then, 50 Cent responded with what he knows to do best, and that's memes. He posted the sad frog meme, and in the caption, he put LOL. With this meme, he's, I think, directly responded to T.I.'s son, King. I mean, he's not going to, say something really disrespectful. It's T.I.'s kids. I mean, that's, T.I.'s probably going to jump in and check his son and say, "Hey, step out of this. This is grown man business. Don't, jump out." And, I understand where King's coming from. Like I said, it's disrespecting your mother. It makes total sense. He got that mad. But T.I. is definitely going to jump into that and be like, "Get out of this. Just let me and 50 deal with it." So 50 didn't really go hard on T.I.'s son. He just, was like making fun of the situation, basically saying like he's sad because he disrespected his dead mom. That's the back and forth that's been going on. But what I want to talk about is a little bit of the history of what's been going on with T.I. and 50 on this Verzuz. So 50 has always been adamant about not wanting to do any type of Verzuz, whether it's with T.I., whether it's with whoever. He's called Verzuz a platform that was only popping when the pandemic was happening, and now that everybody's outside, there's no point in ever having a Verzuz. And he calls basically Verzuz just like looking at the past in your career. And 50's like, "I've moved on. I look at the future." And that's, as you can see right now, he's working on TV shows and film. He's not doing music. He hasn't dropped an album since 2014. So music is his last priority. With that being said, if you guys don't remember, back in 2021, T.I. obviously called 50 out for a Verzuz. And 50 at that time was very respectful and basically said, "I don't want anything to do with this Verzuz." He posted a while ago a video of T.I. talking about his Crime Stoppers commercial in an interview. And this is what 50 had said in the caption in 2021. "This was a week ago. This guy was just telling me about a comedy show he's working on backstage. I don't like all this kind of stuff. It wouldn't be a good idea to come around me again. Respectfully, stay away from me." And that was the end of that. He said, "Respectfully, stay away from me." And obviously these past couple of weeks, he said, "Hey, stay away from me. Let's do the stay away from me challenge." He doesn't want anything to do with T.I. He doesn't want to do a Verzuz. But yet, T.I. keeps bringing up his name for Verzuz. T.I. mentioned Lil Wayne. Go call out Lil Wayne and focus on Lil Wayne. Maybe Lil Wayne will actually entertain it. But 50 is not the type to do a Verzuz. He's at a different level in his career. It's like asking Jay-Z, Eminem, Kanye West, Drake. These artists that are a huge tier to do a Verzuz, they gain nothing from it. Now, as a fan, from a hip-hop perspective, I would love it. Makes total sense, right? T.I. and 50, great catalogs, would be entertaining. It would be amazing. Probably break records on Apple Music views. I don't know. But you got to look at it from their perspective as well. As a brand, they're protecting their brand. 50 doesn't want to do a Verzuz. And let's just say T.I. smokes him, right? That would make people look at 50 worse. And it would make people look at 50's catalog worse for the most part. I mean, if you look at the Locks and the Dipset situation, Dipset looked bad, looked horrible. And it changed a lot of people's minds on Dipset. Even more so now with the Jim Jones and all the stuff that's going on. But that made it horrible because the Locks smoked him, specifically Jadakiss. He just killed it. So these artists don't really have much to gain. If they do beat the person in a Verzuz, what do they gain? A bump in their streams for a couple of days, 20, 30% bump in their streams, and that's it. And people kind of move on. Maybe they build a little better, catalog of history, or, that people would look at them a little bit differently with more respect. Maybe, but that's really about it. So 50's kind of moved on from that situation, doesn't really care musically. He hasn't dropped an album in a long time, so that just shows you there he doesn't care. But what a lot of people aren't remembering as well is Busta Rhymes called out T.I. And T.I. basically ignored it. T.I. said, "Hey, me and Busta Rhymes aren't in the same, year of music. He's more old school, I'm more new school. It doesn't make any sense." Who cares? Why does that matter? I think T.I. was just scared because, Busta Rhymes has great energy on stage. He can shift a crowd. He can make people go crazy. I mean, look at the Chris Lighty tribute. Busta Rhymes is the one that was hosting that whole thing because of his energy. So Busta Rhymes' stage presence is amazing. And he's got hit records too. So why did T.I., that excuse that T.I. made doesn't make any sense. Oh, we're different generations. No, entertain it. If Busta Rhymes wants to do it, accept it. Just like how people are getting mad at 50 for not wanting to do the verses. Why didn't anybody get mad at T.I. for declining the Busta Rhymes one? But that's what I'm saying. It's selective. People get, they choose specific things that they want, and people, get mad at specific people they don't like. It's really just that simple. Anyways, I think a lot of this battle and stuff that's going back and forth with T.I. and 50 is made up. I think a lot of it is to promote T.I.'s music. Maybe 50 and T.I. have some conversations happening in the background where they say, hey, do this so you can get more promo, and then you can help me with promo with my page and so on and so forth. Or it's actually probably serious because, now family members are getting involved. So I don't know. It could be WWE or it could be actually real. Regardless, a lot of people have been going at 50 to try to get attention for their platform, which just shows that 50 is relevant as ever. And it's unfortunate that 50 responds to everything. He shouldn't, really. I think a lot of this stuff he should just ignore. But 50 is, he knows he thrives in that, competition back and forth, talking back and forth. He thrives in that because that just builds his brand up more. That's what he's known for. So other than that, it's just very interesting, man. It's entertaining. And we're never going to get that Verzuz. I'm just letting you guys know that. That will I'm confident in using the word never. Very confident. I would be genuinely surprised if this ever happened. But that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. New music, of course, Baby Keem dropped his Casino album. SZA dropped Save the Day. Mozzie and ESTG dropped Not a Chance in Hell album. Larry June, Currency, and The Alchemist dropped Spiritual Staircases album. Ty Dolla $ign and Leon Thomas dropped Miss You Too. Reason dropped Don't Play With My Heart. And that's it for new music. Album sales, Bad Bunny is at number 1 with his album 138,000 sold. Number 2 is J. Cole The Fall Off with 82,000. Number 3 is Don Toliver Octane with 79,000. Number 4 is Morgan Wallen I'm the Problem with 76,000. Number 5 is Olivia Dean The Art of Lovin', 71,000. Number 6 is Brent Fiez Icon, 56,000. Number 7 is Bad Bunny again with 54,000. Number 8 is Taylor Swift The Life of a Showgirl, 50,000. Number 9 is Charlie XCS Wuthering Heights that debuted at number 9 with 49,000. And number 10 is K-Pop Demon Hunters Soundtrack. SZA SOS number 12 with 37,000. That's pretty cool. Still doing numbers off that album. Michael Jackson's number 1 hits number 22 at 24,000. That's cool. Drake Take Care number 24 with 24,000. Cardi B Am I the Drama number 25 with 23,000. NBA YoungBoy Slime Cry number 27 with 23,000. ASAP Rocky Don't Be Dumb number 35 with 20,000. Party Next Door Drake Some Sexy Songs for You number 38 with 19,000. Kendrick Lamar GNX number 39 with 19,000. Drake Views number 40 with 19,000. And Kendrick Lamar Good Kid Mad City is back in the top 50 at number 50 with 16,000. Pretty cool, man. A lot of these classics are doing their numbers. But that's it for today's episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast. As always, appreciate you guys. Stream us Spotify, Deezer, Pocket Cast, Apple Podcasts, all that. Have an amazing night, day, whenever you listen to this, and peace.